Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I am doing Comic Uno episode 140. And this is show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. And this week is a very small week. I only have 9 books, so let's get started. Number 9 is Red Agent issue 3. So with this book, it's a Zenescope book. I was actually really looking forward to Red Agent. The series in general, but it's a bit too much of espionage, not enough werewolf stuff. So I wasn't really that interested in the actual story, the spy work of the story. I'll still continue to read it. It's only like 2 more issues, but Brittany has even like turned into a werewolf. She's only like turned into one once. And also I like more of the psychology aspect of her character, and you're not really digging deep into her character at all. It's very action-based, this story. So I gave this issue 2 stars, and it was my worst pick of the week. So now we're moving on to number 8, which is a new series from Image called Power Lines issue 1, which if you watch Frontline Live, this is actually on my top 3 anticipated books for this week. And I was a little disappointed. The artwork is very plain. It doesn't really get you sucked into the story at all. I mean, I like the coloring. That's also pretty plain, but I enjoyed the coloring. But I thought the actual artwork could have been a lot better. And the characters, I guess it's interesting aspect to see these 2 characters from way different ideologies and different forms of life. But I never felt interest in either one of them. I never felt like I cared, well, I don't want to say cared about their ideologies, but I feel like they were more just their ideologies, not characters. I wanted them to be fleshed out a little bit more than just be ideas of a character. So I think that's something that could have been built up more in the book. But yeah, I was a little disappointed with this one. So I gave it 2 stars, and that's number 8. So now moving on to number 7, which is All New X-Men issue 7, which is another book I've been kind of disappointed about overall, but I've been picking it up because I am a big X-Men fan. I do like the roster of this book. But it actually spins out of Wolverine and the X-Men, this story, because we see Toad, who was kind of a hero in that book, kind of not. He just like was there. He wasn't a bad guy. And we see that because of everything that's happened with Cyclops, he's angry and he's gone down this downward spiral, and he has kidnapped the young Cyclops to try to fix things. And when he thinks he's killed him, he sees the world has to change. He's like, oh my god, what do I do? I thought the world would change. I've been in this spiral because of this. So I don't think this is a bad story at all. I think it is interesting to see more of Toad, but I think it's a bit of a forgettable story because they have not built up the team enough. And it's been 7 issues, and it just doesn't feel like these characters have chemistry yet. And I need this team to work together more to make these type of stories more profound and more interesting. So All New X-Men issue 7 gets 3 stars. And that was number 7, actually. So let's move on to number 6, which is Postal, issue 11. Now this is a book I've been like kind of deciding if I want to drop or not. Like, it's a okay story, but I haven't been drawn to the actual world as much as I want to. But I mean, it's not a bad series. Stuff definitely happens in this issue. We get to see the aftermath of Maggie being hit. And then also that new girl, like what she's up to and why she wants to have Mark, you know, be her friend in a way. So it is interesting. Artwork is well done, but it still hasn't drawn me in this world as much as I want to. So I got this issue because it was a very light week, but I'm still curious of how long I'm gonna keep this on my pull list. So I gave that 3 stars. So now we're moving on to number 5, which is Moongirl and Devil Dinosaur issue 5. And this is another book that, like, I like, but I don't know how long I'll keep on my pull list. It hasn't fully engaged me. Mostly because I don't love Lunella as a main character yet. I want her to be a little bit more likable for me. But I like that finally we actually get to see the Devil Dinosaur Lunella team up that we've been waiting for, and which is the namesake of this book. I do feel like the friendship is happening a little bit quickly in a weird way. Even though I wanted this, I thought the actual turn of events happened pretty quickly. But I like this issue as more Lunella discovering, hey, I don't want to be a normal girl, and I'm pretending to be a normal girl because that's what people wanted, because that's what, you know, how society functions. And then the Inhuman element is interesting for the book. The artwork fits really well for the book also, I want to say. But I'm also interested that one of these random girls became an Inhuman in the issues, so I'm curious how that's going to play out for the rest of Moongirl and Devil Dinosaur. So, again, don't know how long I'm going to keep with this book, but I enjoyed this issue more than previous issues. So I gave this one 3.5 stars, and that was number 5. Alright, so now moving on to number 4, which is Suiciders Kings of LA, issue 1, which I actually really enjoyed this issue. I really enjoyed this kind of muddy artwork, and I will say, I wanted some more character work in this issue, but I thought they did a really good job of describing this world. After the earthquake, it kind of happened in shambles. We're seeing these different gangs develop and them having a bad relationship, because our main character's brother is upset with the guy because he killed their father, and that was really interesting to see that relationship. And now we're also seeing that the girl is only 15 years old, is pregnant, and well, in this type of world where how do you grow up a child, and you saw like how they grew up as children. And I really like the narration. It's very dark and graphic, but it works for this kind of dark and graphic story. So I was definitely interested to pick up the next issue. So I gave Suiciders Kings of Hell LA issue 1 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it, and it gave me enough for me to pick up issue 2. Alright, so moving on to number 3, which is Tales of Terror, issue 6. I actually thought this was the best Tales of Terror volume 2 book so far. It had a really cool twist of this guy who's kind of a womanizer, trying to cheat on his wife. And then we find out that it's all part of the wife's revenge plan, and she's like in a relationship with the girl who was flirting with the guy. And then we find out like the girl's like a witch, and she wants to bring the wife into jail. So there's actually a lot of interesting twisted turns. I enjoyed the coloring for the book. It was very bright, and I didn't see the twist coming, and that's what I like to have with Tales of Terror. So I thought the characters were built up pretty well. So I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was a very solid Tales of Terror issue. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 2, which is Revival, issue 38, a book that I love, as you guys know. I will say the pacing's a little bit off on this issue just because we're still developing secondary characters a bit more. And as much as I love that, I do want to get back to Em and Dana's story. But we do get to see a little glimpse of Em and Dana's story in this issue. But what I like is definitely breaking apart, because Cooper is like kind of narrating in the beginning and narrating in the end with his comic book. And it breaks apart what it is to make a comic book, and I thought that was very meta. And another part I really liked was with Em and Dana, where Em has this dream about bodies surrounding her, and it kind of shows this big theme of revival, which is if you don't die, the world is going to be overcrowded, and your children are not going to have the world they deserve. And you're seeing that through Em's eyes now, especially that she's pregnant. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the story. So you see the kind of the importance of death, really, and the cycle of life. So I thought that was cool. And then we get into the actual jail part of the revival, or, the government part, which I thought was the weaker part of this issue. But I still enjoyed it a lot. That was a very solid issue, and love Nikki's character. The girlfriend of Cooper's father, Nikki. We learned a lot about her last issue, and we got a lot from her now in this issue because we had that background information that she's not just a stripper. It's you dig deeper into that character, and I really appreciate that from Revival. So Revival issue 38 gets 4 stars. I thought it was a very solid issue, and of course very excited to read more. Alright, so moving on to number 1. My pick of the week for this week was Batman and Robin Eternal, issue 26. This is the last issue for the weekly series and probably the best issue because we open up with Harper Rowe's kind of origin story here. We learn more about her mother, and I thought that was a very important aspect because that's how you grew to like Harper more. And for me, like I liked Harper, I never disliked her, but she's never been one of my favorite Bat Family characters. But now, I'm like, I want to see more from her story. And we see that she doesn't listen to Mother. We see the big battle, and she forgives Cassandra in the end because that's what her mother taught her. And it's really the idea that, you know, Batman's Robins were never him. It was never the exact image of Batman. Batman always wanted the Robins to be better than him. And that goes for Harper's mother. Like, she made mistakes, but she always wanted Harper to be better than her. And in the end, we see that Cassandra takes on a new identity of the orphan, which I thought was pretty cool. And Harper's going to college. And I'm really excited to see how they take that of a retired hero, especially because she's probably still going to live with Stephanie. And maybe we'll see that with Detective Comics, where you see the retired hero that knows the life, but now has an ordinary life. We rarely see that in comics. I think the last time they did that so well was with Young Justice in the 90s with Arrowette, that, you know, she had all these friends who are superheroes and interacted with them, but she wasn't a superhero herself anymore. And I hope we get that idea with Harper Rowe also. I think that could be an interesting dynamic and not just forget about Harper Rowe's character. So overall, I thought it had a really good theme. I thought it was a really well double-sized final issue of Batman and Robin Eternal, and it did a really good job with Harper Rowe's character, Cassandra, and the Robins in general it did a good job with. So I gave this issue 4 stars. I thought it was a very solid issue, and that was my pick of the week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like I said, it was a pretty light week this week. Next week will be very normal again with a bigger haul. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what was your worst pick of the week and your best pick of the week and everything in between. This was Comic Uno, Comic Frontline. Of course, I'll have Comic Uno episode 141 next week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys later. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later. Bye.